Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin Yala. My name is Scott, and in this episode, we are going to talk about how strong Bitcoin is in terms of bad global news and bad things happening in the market. Because I know a lot of people watching for the first time are wondering, if I buy this, am I going to lose my money overnight? What's going to happen? I'm nervous. Everyone's telling me Bitcoin is really volatile. It's going all over the place. So I'm kind of nervous. What should I expect? Well, what I'm going to show you is the strength of Bitcoin and how secure it is against bad news in the economy and in the world globally. Because historically, anytime there was bad global news, Bitcoin would crash anywhere from 20% all the way up to 80%. Well, now it doesn't do that. But before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Stephanie. Stephanie is the newest member of our Bitcoin family. I talked to her the other day. She had heard about Bitcoin, but didn't know that much about it. So I told her about the highlights, like there's a limit of 21 million Bitcoin. That's all there will ever be made. And I went over the reasons why Bitcoin is here and how it solves many, many different issues. To my surprise, I haven't seen this, but maybe one other time, of someone actually getting it the first time. Okay, I've hardly ever seen that. It's very rare. So, but this individual is very rare, very switched on individual, very sharp, and she's young. I was like, I was very surprised that mentally at her recognition of finance, of her responsibility level, she's only, I think she said she was 20, I think. So that's like a kid still. And she had it. She switched on. So she got it. She is joining the Bitcoin family. She's watching today. Stephanie, hats off to you. If I was wearing one, I'd take it off for you. But congratulations. So, and then Jay is another guy who I talked to. He, listen to this, everyone. He had Bitcoin when it was $100 and he sold it. Right. Oh, anyway, but he's making a comeback with it now. So better late than never. And we're still early in the big scheme of things. So Jay, even though you got in and sold your Bitcoin at 100, hang in there. Don't worry, everything will be fine. All right, so let's get right to it. So have a look at this image, everyone. I want to show you these two images here. This first one is going over historically global bad events and how Bitcoin responded to it. So look at US-Iran escalation in January of 2020. 60 days after that occurred, Bitcoin was up 20%. Okay. Look at the health scare, the global health scare of March 11th, 2020. We all know what that was. After 60 days of that, Bitcoin was up 21%. Okay, and this is comparing it to S&P 500 and gold. And you can see in most of these, Bitcoin was the winner when you're looking at 60 days after bad news or a global event. Okay. US 2020 election challenges, Bitcoin was up 131%. Russia invasion of Ukraine, Bitcoin was up 15%. And the US regional banking crisis of 2023, Bitcoin was up 32% 60 days later. So, which is higher than the stocks of the S&P 500 and gold. So, for those of you who are worried, oh, well, if I buy Bitcoin, what's going to happen? I'm nervous. Historically speaking, Bitcoin has fared pretty well recently. Okay. So, the other chart I wanted to show you really quickly was the one on what's happening now with the war, with Israel striking Iran. You can see here on this image that when it started, June 12th, Bitcoin was at about $106,000 for one Bitcoin. Okay. And then several things happened. Bitcoin dipped a little bit when all of the fears were just through the roof. Is there World War III happening? No one knew. Everyone was afraid. And Bitcoin at its lowest dipped down to about 101,000. Okay. Now it's back up. It's about 105,000 for one Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has held strong through these scary times in history, and including the most recent one. So hats off to Bitcoin there for showing its strength. Now that's due to institutional involvement. Okay, the corporations are buying, institutions are buying, universities are buying Bitcoin. States, there's 4 US states that now have active strategic Bitcoin reserve bills, active. Okay, so I'll do a separate video on that. But all these reasons are why Bitcoin's showing that strength. Okay, now I want to show you this quick clip that's really going to drive it home and provide some value to all of you. I know some of you have seen this, but many of you have not. So have a look at this. It's a quick 2.5 to 3 minute clip here on Michael Saylor talking about Bitcoin. And this is recent. This happened not too long ago. So have a look at this. I'll cue it up for you and keep stacking your sats. We'll also, I haven't forgot about all of you with the Bitcoin giveaways that we do. So stay tuned because one is coming. So stay tuned for that. But watch this quick clip and let me know in the comments what you think.
World. So all of that was last July. Bitcoin was $65,000. What happened since? 11 months. Okay, this is extraordinary. I was, as Joe said, I was bullish last July. I've always been bullish, but when Bitcoin dipped to $16,000 during crypto winter, I was bullish. But stuff that's happened in the past 11 months has been extraordinary.
Okay, this next 2 minutes by Michael Saylor, you have got to watch this. So don't leave early. Watch this next 2 minutes and you'll see why everyone is so excited about Bitcoin. Here it comes.
The White House has embraced Bitcoin. This is an extraordinary development. We didn't anticipate this. We hoped that we would get a favorable administration, and we hope we get support, and we had this inkling, but November 5th brought a sea change in politics, and although we thought we might have a pro-Bitcoin president, we didn't think we'd get a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We didn't think that the president would say, America will be the Bitcoin superpower of the world. This is an amazing development. The new administration, J.D. Vance, pro-Bitcoin, Robert F. Kennedy, pro-Bitcoin, Tulsi Gabbard, pro-Bitcoin, Kelly Loeffler, pro-Bitcoin, Paul Atkins, pro-Bitcoin, Brian Kentez, pro-Bitcoin, Scott Bessent, pro-Bitcoin, David Sachs, a new position, cabinet-level position, not just pro-Bitcoin, a cabinet member that would go on television and say Bitcoin is the one decentralized crypto network in the world. It is special. It is the digital commodity, right? The one thing that we've all known, but a cabinet member in the United States government says it. He said it in March of this year. Howard Lutnick, pro-Bitcoin. Kash Patel, pro-Bitcoin. Every one of these cabinet members flipped from 12 months earlier where there would have been no one that would have been as bullish on Bitcoin as what we saw here. Wall Street embraced Bitcoin. $150 billion of capital, 1.4 million Bitcoin. This entire dynamic started in January of last year, but it accelerated after July. Public companies. My company was the first public company to adopt Bitcoin. People thought we were crazy. I thought we were late. Like some of you, I kept thinking that I got it right in 2013. Like, why didn't I buy in 2013? In 2020, I thought I was late. But what happened next is the second company, the third, then 130. Then companies like Trump Media and GameStop in 21. And now, companies are racing to get into the Bitcoin 100. Used to be, we thought, oh, it'd be great, there's 10 Bitcoin companies in 20. Now there's 100. Now there's more than 100. Now we're all going to compete to move up the leaderboard. Yeah, let the games begin. Bitcoin wasn't an institutional asset. It wasn't cool on Wall Street. People thought it might be toxic. Well, now I have a whole set of equity analysts that write research and publish their research to investors, and they put a price target on Bitcoin. So now you have the entire equity capital markets embracing the asset class, writing about it, opining on it. You know, we went from an oddity, tulip bulbs maybe going away, to an entire array of analysts and investment banks starting to have an opinion. And of course, if you look at all the prices up there, their opinion is all positive, it's all bullish. Technology investors have embraced Bitcoin. What you see there is the Bank of America investment analyst equating Bitcoin to something as profound as the light bulb, the Model T, the World Wide Web. Right? That's a very important rotation. Bitcoin is a technology. Bitcoin's not a speculation. Bitcoin is not an oddity. Bitcoin is not anarchy. Bitcoin is just the next great technology. Financial regulators embrace Bitcoin. This you never believe. The head of the OCC says banks should support Bitcoin. The Fed says it's okay for banks. They should get on and start supporting Bitcoin. The accountants say you need to provide fair accounting for Bitcoin. The SEC says it's okay to create ETFs with Bitcoin. This is an amazing development. Capitol Hill embraced Bitcoin. The House, the Senate, the Cabinet. You've got 3 bills, the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, the Bitcoin Act, all moving through Congress right now. This is something nobody guessed, no one conceived of a year ago. States in the United States are embracing Bitcoin. Governors, right? There's legislation working its way through state legislative branches everywhere. You know, Bitcoin is money for everybody. Bitcoin is for everybody, and everybody is getting interested in it. International governments embrace Bitcoin. Spokespeople for the UK, for Ireland, for Pakistan, for Bhutan, for El Salvador, for Russia, in China, in Hong Kong, in Europe, everywhere, right? They all have an opinion. Their opinion is this is very important. This is an extraordinary movement. The crypto industry has embraced Bitcoin. And this is extraordinary. You should all give yourself a hand because you've won. These are all public statements from the last 12 months, and let me tell you how I interpret this. This is everybody in the crypto ecosystem acknowledging that Bitcoin is the foundation of the crypto economy. Bitcoin is the reserve currency of the crypto economy. Bitcoin is the one central, certain, unshakable protocol and the focal point of the entire industry. Everything else is built on top of it.